Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 30 minutes and change, and it is officially here, ladies and gentlemen. It is Major League Baseball opening day. I should say opening night, because only two teams of the 30 in Major League Baseball will be playing today. That is the New York Yankees and the San Francisco Giants. You're going to have to wait till 8:05 p.m. tonight to get that action, and you're going to have to be on Netflix. However, I can't imagine there are a lot of people left in America that do not have access to a Netflix account. I'm not going to say have their own Netflix account because I don't know how much that's a thing either. Everybody is sharing a Netflix account from somebody else. It's all connected. And if you're connected in that Netflix circle, 8:05 tonight, Yankees and Giants kick off the Major League Baseball season. Throughout this show, we will be giving you our picks. Here's what we're going to pick for you on this Wednesday. We got the AL West, East, and Central Division, the NL West, East, and Central Divisions, both the 3 wild card spots in the American League and the 3 wild card spots in the National League. We will also give you our prediction for the ALCS matchup, the NLCS matchup, and the World Series matchup. I was talking to one of my buddies, shout out James Peer, last week while we were on our spring break baseball trip, and he was informing me that my NFL picks or predictions prior to the start of the 2025 NFL season were actually pretty good. And so I went back to do a little listening, and I was like, hey, that wasn't bad. So let's do this for Major League Baseball. Now, obviously, what a crapshoot with baseball. 162 games, such a long season. Obviously, in every sport, injuries are prominent, but in baseball, the pitcher, the starting pitcher, much like the starting quarterback in football, if you have a top one of those and you lose that individual, it is nearly impossible. Not impossible, because at least in baseball, you have a rotation of 5. So if you're a good baseball team and you lose one of your top 5, easy math tells you still have 4 of your 5, right? And if it's a good deep rotation, you're locked. But if you got the rotation of a bad baseball team, it's almost impossible to win. It is, because you are only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. If you do not have good starting pitching in Major League Baseball, it's almost impossible to win consistently. The hitting is just too good. There are too many players now, top to bottom, in a lineup that can hit a homer, that can do damage. And your great bullpen arms are only as good as the leads you give them. So if you can't get out of the 5th inning ever with a lead or ever with your starting pitcher, I don't care how good your bullpen arms are, that is too much tax on those wings. And it's going to be almost impossible to make it through a 162 game season if that's the case. So if you're getting geared up for your baseball team, whether they open up today, as in the Yankees and the Giants, or they open up tomorrow, as in the rest of the league, look no further than your team's starting pitching and your team's pitching depth. Because to me, that is the only way to survive a 162 game season. You cannot outscore teams to a championship over the course of 6.5 months. Yeah, you can have a great offense. Yeah, your offense can be top 5 in the league while your pitching staff's top 15 in the league, and that can get you to the postseason. But when it comes down to playing the best of the best, when it comes down to believing you're one of the top 12 teams to make the postseason, you're only going as far as your pitching staff can take you. And to finite that even more, you're only going as far as your starters can take you. Because if you have to continually go to the bullpen after 9 and before 15 outs have been collected, there's too much baseball to be played in the spring, summer, and early fall to have those arms last. And what's your best ability? Your best ability is availability. So the depth of your staff and the health of your staff are going a long way. Mets, great example last year, man. Pitching and defense. Mediocre pitching staff, absolutely atrocious defense, 83-win team. Didn't matter if you had Alonso and Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo, if those names excite you, and whoever else you thought was good enough to make that team a playoff contender, a title contender, a World Series contender. Pitching and defense. If you don't have it, it is impossible to be a consistent baseball team over 162 days. And I mean it honestly. If there is a comparability in sport, it would be top starting pitching and quarterback play. When you lose top starting pitching, we said it yesterday, 2 days ago, when we broke down the American League, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, just find the Rome Show podcast. We broke down the American League and we talked about how the Yankees didn't do an insane amount this offseason, but they got Garrett Cole back. Now, coming off a TJ, serious injury, we don't know how great Garrett Cole's going to be. But in their mind, getting Garrett Cole back off of injury is as good, if not better, than going out into the free agent market and getting a starting pitcher. Or getting somebody that, though not coming off of injury and maybe coming off a solid year, still does not hit the ceiling of Garrett Cole at 100% of Garrett Cole. Starting pitching and depth. Starting pitching, depth, defense, man. That, to me, is the sign of a great team and a team that can win consistently over 162 games. YouTube.com/the Romanellas if you want to get in on the action. That's YouTube.com/the Romanellas. Hit that subscribe button. Support people. Twitter X, Instagram, The Rome Show 1. That's Twitter X and Instagram, The Rome Show 1, The Rome Show. Then the number 1, Facebook.com/The Rome Show. So let's get started first in the American League. We'll do the American League division winners. We'll do the National League division winners. We'll take a commercial break. We'll come back. We'll pick the ALCS, the NLCS, the World Series. And before we get out of here, I got some news from around the landscape of sports. We got a firing at a major Division I institution in college basketball. A 41-year-old quarterback returns. Which one, though? I'll tell you if you stay tuned. And one of the game's best in the NBA, at least for a small period of time, but a really good player for majority of his career, was suspended for PED use. And his claim, I think, is a little BS. So after we get you through Major League Baseball, you better be with us because we got some top stories we want to take you through as well. All right, let's get it going. We will start in the American League. We'll stay same order. All right. Here we go. We are going to go with the AL West. All right. For those that don't know who resides in each division, I will give you the teams in each division, and then I will give you my prediction. So, the AL West, we have the Mariners, the Rangers, the Houston Astros, the Los Angeles Angels, and no longer the this or that, just the Athletics until they move to Las Vegas. That's your 5-team AL West. I'm going to take the Seattle Mariners when it comes to winning the AL West. I think that though the Texas Rangers look to get better this offseason, and though the Houston Astros were in the playoffs last year as a wild card, I just think that top to bottom, the Seattle Mariners have one of the most solid teams. And getting to the pinnacle, but not reaching the pinnacle in what happened last year and losing to the Toronto Blue Jays, I think that puts a lot of great scars, okay, on some of your best players, some who which were at the WBC falling in a heartbreaking fashion in that final as well. You put all that together and you look at the AL and you see how wide open it really can be. I'm taking the Mariners again, AL West champions. Let's move to the AL East. We'll go across the country. That's the Blue Jays. That's the Red Sox. That's the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Tampa Bay Rays. Last year was a tie atop the top. Blue Jays and New York Yankees. The Blue Jays lost a little bit more than they gained this offseason, as well as, having some injuries to start the season. The New York Yankees didn't really lose, but they didn't really add, as we just talked about and as we talked about on Monday. But they do get Garrett Cole back, and I have, though not many Yankees fans are, been okay with their decision to run the roster back. Listen, man, as a fan, I want to see moves all the time. As a fan of a team with money, I also want to see moves all the time. But I cannot go against an organization that has had such consistency in getting to the postseason. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The franchise sees it differently than the fan does. The franchise sees getting to the postseason as the number one priority. You get the extra gate, you get the extra television revenue, you get the fan base committed, all of those things. Like, it's just getting to the playoffs is the win. Yeah, of course, everyone wants to win a World Series, but every franchise believes just to the postseason anything can happen. I can't go against a franchise that's been in the postseason like the last 26 years. I'm sorry, I can't. Most championships out of any franchise in the history of sports, and I get it. Their last one was 2009. I would kill for my last championship to be 2009, for me to have watched like 7 in my lifetime, and for my franchise to have 27 of them. And not 27 where it's like, oh my God, they don't even have a chance. They were in the World Series 2 years ago. Okay? They're good enough to make it back. Do I think they're a good enough manager? To be debated. Do I think they have clutch enough players? Also to be debated. But do they have a good enough team to make the postseason and make a run to win the World Series? I don't care what type of fan of the Yankees you are. The answer to that is yes. How deep they go, again, obviously is the biggest question mark. I have them this year, though, winning the AL East and taking it from there. In the Central, it's a crapshoot. I think the AL Central is going to be the only division in the American League that does not have 2 teams heading into the postseason. I think Tariq Skubal and the Detroit Tigers have a good enough year. I don't think you need more than 89 wins to win this division. You got the Guardians, the White Sox, who are atrocious, the Royals, who are all right, and the Twins, who are all right. So I'm taking the Tigers there. Where are the 3 wild cards going to falter for Andrew in the American League? Well, I'll let you know this. If the Yankees are winning the division in the AL East, I think then 2 teams are getting in, okay? I think the Orioles were bad last year, And I said 2 years ago, 3 years ago on this show, I thought they were going to win the AL East titles over the next 5 years. I think that they should be way better than they are. They could be a jump up of a team. You never can count out the Tampa Bay Rays. Ever can count out the Tampa Bay Rays. But the Red Sox did some retooling, and of course the Blue Jays were in the World Series last year. So I think we're going to get a Yankees win the AL East, and then the Red Sox and the Blue Jays are the wild card winners in terms of the AL. I think the other wild card will come from the Central. I think a lot of people are going to choose the Houston Texans. I like the Texas Rangers. I like new manager Kip Shoemaker. I like the talent they have in that locker room. They did some retooling to that offense, and they won 81 games last year. If the pitching can stay healthy, I think the Texas Rangers are going to be that third and final wild card spot. So to finish in the AL, I got the Mariners, the Yankees, and the Tigers winning their division, and I got the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and the Rangers as the wild card. How about the NL? We'll go start in the West again. I think this one's pretty easy. Obviously, some really good teams. The Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, the Rockies, and the D-backs. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. I am picking the Dodgers until they don't do it. I would rather pick the favorite and the team that I think is actually the best team in the division, and then they do some crazy shit where they don't win the division. I do not want to be the Tom Brady, I'm trying to choose the end of his career before the end of his career thing, and then 3.5 years later, Tom Brady is still winning a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am going the other way. I'm riding my starter one extra batter too long. I am riding this tire and fuel gauge, and I'm not taking a pit stop till 10 laps too long. That's my opinion, especially on the Los Angeles Dodgers and their talent. So I got the Dodgers winning the NL West. However, we'll come back to that division for wild cards in a second. The NL East, give me the Metropolitans, baby.
Hot take.
I don't know. Maybe it's a hot take. Maybe it's not, but give me the Metropolitans. The Phillies, they won it last year. They are much like the New York Yankees. However, I just don't feel good about this Phillies team. And it's not my Philadelphia dislike. It is just I don't feel good about this Philadelphia Phillies team. I know they have some really good talent in Hodgkins and Harper and Schwarber. I said it yesterday. They have arguably one of the best starters in the game in Aaron Nola. You have had this talent for a few years now and not figured it out. But unlike the New York Yankees, who are at least able to get to a World Series, and you saw last postseason Aaron Judge be really good. So you're like, oh, man, can we put the two of them together? Us making it to the World Series and Aaron Judge being really good, then maybe we can win a title. Phillies don't show us that. They haven't shown us that. I feel like they've underperformed in each of the last few years, and I think that's going to happen again this year, starting with them not winning the NL East. I got the Mets winning the NL East. I like the moves. The Braves are battered up, dude, and they got freaking suspensions all over the place. The Nationals suck. Can you count the Marlins? No, but they feel like they're just going to win 76 games and be in it for the first 100 and then falter late. Give me the Mets winning the NL East. How about the Central? Well, the Central is interesting. I think the Brewers got worse. I said it yesterday. The Reds, they made the playoffs because the Mets collapsed. The Pirates, I don't know if they have enough, and the Cardinals, I don't know if I have enough. And I say that, and Paul Skeens takes the hill for the Pirates tomorrow, and he's the best pitcher in baseball. Nonetheless, give me the Cubbies, who just re-signed Pete Crow Armstrong to a 6-year, $115 million deal, which really reaffirms how much they want to get this thing off the ground. Some of the signings they've been making over the last few years. Give me the Cubs and Craig Counsell as their manager, who left the Brewers to go to the Cubs a few years ago. Give me the Cubbies as the winner of the Central. I'll take the Philadelphia Phillies out the East, and I'll take two teams out of the West. I'll take the Diamondbacks, and I'll take the surprise San Francisco Giants. I think the Padres are going to be down this year. I think that the Rockies stink. And I think the D-backs, much like my point about the Texas Rangers, won 81 games last year. San Francisco Giants hired a new head coach from the college ranks, Tony Vitello, and I think I just feel really good about that. And I think that he could bring some juice to that team that already has some talent. All right, they traded for Rafael Devers last year. Maybe the young coach with the energy gets him on track. But I got three teams out of the NL West. The Dodgers winning it, then the D-backs and the Giants as the wild card. I got one team out of the Central, that being the Chicago Cubs. And then I have two out of the NL East. That would be the New York Metropolitans winning it and then the Philadelphia Phillies winning the wild card position. I'll give you my ALCS, my NLCS, and my World Series champion after I tell you about Fig Tree Golf. Head to figtreegolf.com to get yourself right for this golf season. Reinforce your faith, reinforce your love for the game of golf. When you head to figtreegolf.com, they got some fire stuff. You can see it on my screen right now. When you head to figtreegolf.com and you go to checkout, you use promo code Andrew Romanella for 15% off. Figtreegolf.com, 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 promo code Andrew Romanella. We'll be right back here on The Rome Show.
What is one thing every great leader has in common? They challenge their people to not stop at the first right answer. Tighten the Lug Nuts is a leadership book that will teach you how to move past the first right answer with entertaining and detailed examples founded in real-world concepts and experiences. Accelerate towards your professional goals with Tighten the Lug Nuts, one of the best leadership books available.
Yeah! Welcome back into the Rome Show. Coming out the halftime break, 7:39 on your clock, 3:25 on your calendar. State of New Jersey outside my window. We're live here, youtube.com/the Romanellas, Twitter X, Instagram, facebook.com, all of the things. We are live all over the place, and we are talking Major League Baseball opening day because it has just been such a blast. I love baseball opening day. I said this after football season ended. I was like, dang, once the Super Bowl ends, it is the true indicator that it is time for baseball season. And, you know, we get into the midst of the college season, and our college season, I feel like, goes pretty fast. Like, we're already 17 games in to the college baseball season. We play our 18th game tonight, whereas we're talking about opening day for Major League Baseball. And then think about this perspective. We play our entire college baseball season. Then we go through an entire summer break, and then we play majority, if not all, of our fall baseball season, and it's still one season in Major League Baseball. One season. And I've always said this, and we're not going to go down this rabbit hole because we're getting ready for 2026. We're not changing the game in 2035. But I've always said that if Major League Baseball could retool their schedule to get us to like 120 games, maybe 130, 135, like something like, but the 162 that Major League Baseball developed to, I just think is a little bit too excessive. Okay. Whereas you could really just end this thing the second or third week of September while NFL kind of gets off the ground and you truly have your own season. The NFL truly has majority of its own season, and the NHL and the NBA, who have a demographic fan base that are not even near each other, don't really fight over that anyways, share that same winter season. I just always felt like it'd be better for the game, and I think it would be easier for people to get on board. Like, I can get ready for a Yankees game on March 25th and like be excited to watch the game when I know that 3.5 months later we'll be in the postseason. But when you kind of really think about it and you're like, okay, we're going to go through April, May, June, July. August also is the regular season. Oh, wait, September's also the regular season. And then it seems like kind of part of October. It's like 6 months of regular season baseball. They've been in spring training already for a month. That's 7 months. That to me is when it becomes excessive. That to me is why it's easy for fans to be like, I'm good. I'm good on this sport. I could just wait until August and then I'll get what I need out of it. I think baseball over the next 10 years, it sounds wild, the TV deals, but if we're going to go to a salary cap and we're going to start capping the amount of money we can spend on players anyways, then why can't we just cap the amount of money that we're making on the gate and the television contract by just cutting 8 home games each team? If you start by cutting 8 home games on each team, that's 16 total games off the schedule. That's 40 games. 144 games. I don't think that's a bad place to start. We're going to start right here with some choices on the ALCS, the NLCS, and all that good jazz. Here's what I got. These are Andrew Romanella's future picks for the MLB season. Okay, here we go. I got in the ALCS, I got the Seattle Mariners. Oh, wait, we didn't play our music. Hold. Now we're good. I don't even know if you get it on YouTube. Well, we got some music for the rest of the people. I got the ALCS, Seattle Mariners returning, but this year I got the New York Yankees in the mix. I just think that the Yankees are and have been there. This roster's good enough. I think that they'll get there, and I have the Yankees playing the Mariners in the ALCS. I have the Dodgers, best team in baseball, okay, playing the Philadelphia Phillies. Yeah, so here's what I think. I think the Phillies, as I mentioned earlier, just aren't going to be as good, but I did say they're going to find their way into the postseason. And then, again, it's a crapshoot, and they're going to get hot. And I think the Phillies, they ride that hotness all the way to the World Series. Yes, you heard that correctly. All right. Mediocre regular season. They find a way to get into the wild card because they are good enough. They have a good enough team, but then run their way to the World Series. I got the Phillies through the wild card getting to the World Series, and then I have the New York Yankees. Give me a rematch of the 2009 World Series, baby. Give me the rematch. I got the New York Yankees playing the Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series. If you wanted to know the odds, okay, I have the 6 highest odds for Major League Baseball teams to win the World Series, okay? First is the Los Angeles Dodgers at plus 200. Second is the New York Yankees at plus 1,000. Third is the Seattle Mariners at plus 1,200. Fourth is the New York Metropolitans at plus 1,300. Fifth is the aforementioned Philadelphia Phillies at plus 1,600. And then also at plus 1,600, you have the Boston Red Sox. To round out the top 10 favorites to win the World Series, 7 is the Blue Jays, 8 is the Cubs, 9 is the Orioles, and 10 is the Atlanta Braves. So my World Series pick is second favorite and the 5th favorite according to Las Vegas. I just feel my type of way about them getting there. If you really want, yes, I do believe that this is the year that the New York Yankees find a way to host another World Series. I mean, think about it. How long has it been? Okay, has it been 17 years since the Yankees hosted the World Series? The last time they won a World Series, they beat the Philadelphia Phillies. It was the Alex Rodriguez change his career postseason. Why can't that happen for Aaron Judge? Why can't the Yankees are good enough to be there? Okay, so if you want, go ahead, throw your bananas down on it. I think it could happen. I got the Yankees. Give me the Yankees beating the Phillies in the World Series. And the New York Yankees will be your World Series champion. You heard it here first, people. All right, March 25th. I will gladly put my bananas where my mouth is. I won't do it here because, I'm not even get into that. All right, but I got the Yankees beating the Phillies. World Series champs, New York Yankees, 17 years later, after beating the Phillies and changing the course of A-Rod's career, despite the PED thing. But man, did people look at A-Rod's career differently when he found a way to win that World Series and was really good. He was really good during that World Series. Here's that schedule we were talking about earlier in terms of the games going on in Major League Baseball the next 2 days. Like I said, game tonight, 8:05, then 28 teams tomorrow, all through Thursday. Earliest game at 1:15, and I believe the latest game in Seattle at 10:10 p.m. A lot of NBC, a lot of Peacock, and a lot of MLB.TV if you want to find your Major League Baseball team. Going more national this year is baseball as it trends towards the place that a lot of sports need to be trending to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got some news from around the sports world to finish this show. Just want to keep my fans updated on what is going on in sports. Here are your Hump Day headlines. Number one,
Hump Day.
Hubert Davis has been fired at the University of North Carolina after Roy Williams' tenure ended a bunch of years back. A great tenure that was at the University of North Carolina. Hubert Davis took over and unfortunately has just not been very good, highlighted by 2 straight seasons, the 2025 and 2026 NCAA tournaments, where UNC lost in the first round, including this year, where they had like an 18-point lead on VCU, and they blew it. So looking for a new head coach in the University of North Carolina. And it's funny because 8 miles away at Duke, the same thing happened after Mike Krzyzewski left, but John Shire's just done such a better job of taking what Krzyzewski did, making it his, but keeping the prowess of Duke, whereas Hubert Davis, unfortunately, could not build upon what Roy Williams had been doing for 30-plus years. And now it looks like we need a change in North Carolina basketball. Think about it. They had 2 head coaches at North Carolina over the course of like 55 years. Now they're going to have 2 over the course of 4 years. That's a prime time job. Look out for any of these little schools or smaller mid-major schools you see have a guy that's a really, really good head coach, probably the candidate for this job. Joe Flacco, 41 years old, signs a 1-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. Great deal by the Bengals. Great deal. Because obviously Joe Burrow is very injury prone. Flacco was in the building last year, knows the offense, yada, yada, yada. And showed enough that if he's got to start a few games this year, you feel like you have a good enough chance to maybe still win some football games. You don't want it if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. You want Joe Burrow, obviously, under center. However, you got to be prepared. And that is a great decision by the Bengals. I mentioned Pete Crow Armstrong. Paul George was suspended 25 games by the National Basketball Association for the use of PEDs. And he came out yesterday and he said this: being a pro athlete takes a toll on you. My body wasn't where I wanted it to be. The expectation is to perform because of my body not being where it needed to be. Obviously, I'm going to have expectations for myself. That's what led to a poor decision at the time. These 25 games were just what I needed, I think, for my body. I've said it throughout my career, dealing with mental health, I'm no superhero. I'm human, and I made a mistake in that moment. The only thing I don't like here at a Paul George is the drop of the mental health. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm not discrediting mental health just because you're a pro athlete. That's not what I'm saying here. But I don't believe that your usage of PEDs because your body didn't feel great and you felt like you were a deteriorating athlete, I don't think that should then equate to you had mental health issues, so you went and did PEDs. It just doesn't, the two don't equate. When I read the story and I listened to his comments, I just felt like it was more of a, well, if I say this, I can protect myself a little bit from the slings and arrows people are going to give me when I come back from this suspension. Whereas if I just say, well, I just wanted the advantage and I took PEDs, which is exactly what you did. You wanted the advantage. You didn't like the way your body was, so you wanted to get back, so you took PEDs. You're going to get hammered more. I just I think the mental health thing's it's a strong conversation. It's an important conversation. And so I just feel like that better be a part of the conversation. It better be true, because if we're throwing that around as to why we took performance-enhancing drugs when we are $100 million athlete in the National Basketball Association, and you've been one of the quote-unquote stars for a lot of your career, I just feel like that was an opportunity to throw a terminology out there. That's a buzzword terminology for a lot of people that can maybe make people back off the heat that they're going to give you. Nonetheless, I've been feeling great, feeling explosive again, feeling strong again. I feel like I'm back on the level of being able to perform in the focal guy and be the scorer. Come on, man. 25 games, 2 months. No, what happened was you took PEDs. You took 25 games off, which actually rested your body. PEDs probably also helped your body. And now you're back. And you don't want anyone to think less of you, even though you made a mistake. So if you say it this way, maybe the heat will come off. Nonetheless, I read that story. I said, not as big of a fan of Paul George anymore. I really was trending that way, but I'm good on you, bro. I am good on you. Finally, National Football League, a lot of rule change proposals. A lot of them come from the kickoff. I got a few of them here for you. I just wanted to list off one of them being you can onside kick whenever you want. Right now, you can only onside kick when you're down in the score, which is kind of stupid. Allowing referees to consult with league staff over flagrant fouls or disqualifications, which I think is interesting. Closing the loophole on incentivized teams to intentionally kick out of bounds after a penalty on one team, so that you don't get as many. I don't know. All these other things with the kickoff. I guess the new kickoff not received very well, or new rules needed to be added. A modification to the alignment of the kickoff. And then I thought these two were interesting. Adjusting roster cut down dates based on international games. Makes sense. And then the Cleveland Browns propose being able to trade draft picks up to 5 years out, not just up to 3 years out, which is obviously something we see. Basketball trades their draft picks up to 75 years out. Like, I think I saw the other day, somebody traded a first-round pick in 2026 for the first-round pick in 2079. It's like, wow. All right, 46 years from now, we're going to see the residual on this one. So I like what the NFL thought there in terms of the 3 year. I get what the Browns are talking about within the 5 year, because that is still a tight enough window where you feel like you're going to get return on investment for the immediate sacrifice you're making by sending someone or a pick away. But interesting. Those are the NFL proposed rule changes. A lot on the kickoff, but no tush push this year or other BS like, oh, this year we're randomly going to be able to challenge pass interference, but next year you won't be able to. I'm telling you, put that futures in. And if you don't believe in the Yankees in terms of winning the World Series, just put the futures in terms of the Yankees making the World Series. I'm telling you, rematch 09 Yankees, Phillies. That's my prediction. Major League Baseball season gets started tonight with the Yankees and the Giants. Hey, thank you for tuning into the Rome Show on a hump day. I appreciate the people that support. You know the drill. Head to youtube.com/the Romanellas and hit subscribe. Twitter, X, Instagram, the Rome Show 1. Follow us there as well. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7:10 a.m. Until then, have an electric Wednesday. Andrew Romanella. Peace.
Thank you for listening.